All right, Broncos country. I think it's time that we have the Javonte Williams Audric Estime conversation because I think there is a greater than zero chance that Javonte Williams' days in Denver could be numbered because of this draft pick. If you look at Audric Estime, who the Broncos drafted in the fifth round, 148 overall yesterday, he really reminds you quite a bit of Javonte Williams, but there are actually some characteristics of his game that I feel like are better than Javonte Williams. I feel like Audric Estime is your classic stereotypical power back. 5'11", 221 pounds. The dude actually has really good vision, and that is one of the knocks on Javonte Williams' game. He doesn't have the best vision in the world. He's just going to drag bodies and bruise you down the middle of the or down up the gut, and he's not really going to be a big time change of direction runner for you. That's just not who Javonte Williams is. Audric Estime actually has really good vision and he has pretty decent change of direction. He's not the most explosive running back in the world, but he's a bowling ball, he's a bruiser, he drags bodies just like Javonte Williams does. And I think that what might have hurt Audric Estime's draft stock is the fact that he tested poorly at the combine. For example, he ran a 4.71 40, not exactly the greatest 40-yard dash time, but I actually went and looked at a little bit of his film, and I feel like he plays a lot faster than that. So I don't necessarily have a whole lot of concerns on that. I think, again, that he has a lot of good traits that'll translate to the NFL level, and he could become a true two down thumper back for you. I don't necessarily know about him in third down situations because I don't think he has the greatest receiving skills out there. The Broncos have better backs on the roster who can fill the third down role, such as Samaje Perine and Jaleel McLaughlin, depending on how much you want to trust Jaleel in pass protection situations. That's why I think Samaje actually has a pretty good chance of making the roster because he's rock solid in pass protection. You can trust him on obvious third down passing downs, but you can still sprinkle in Jaleel McLaughlin on third downs as well because he's such a good receiver out of the backfield. The question becomes, where does that leave Javonte Williams in all this? Javonte coming off of a really serious knee injury last year, or in 2022, where he tore his ACL, he tore his LCL, and his posterior lateral corner in his knee, completely damaged the overall structural integrity of his knee. And the fact that he even played last year for the Denver Broncos is a borderline mini miracle, but as to be expected, the production was just not there. 774 yards, 217 attempts, 3.6 yards per carry, so he couldn't even get the 4 yards per carry threshold. And this is a stat that really, really concerns me. He only had 2.71 yards after contact. That is a big time problem, especially for a guy like Javonte Williams, who is known as a guy who drags bodies with him after contact. Whereas if you look at Audric Estime, he led all Power 5 running backs last year with 4.27 yards after contact with at least 150 carries. So I don't know, man. I actually really think that Audric Estime could be putting Javonte Williams days on notice here. If we come over and take a look at Estime's PFF profile, the dude had a overall grade of 94.2 in 2023, 6.4 yards per carry and 18 touchdowns, 1,341 yards, and that's after a 906 5.8 yards per carry and 11 touchdown season in 13 games in 2022. So the production is definitely there. I don't think there's a crap ton of tread on the tires either. So I don't know, man. Unless Javonte Williams can show in that second year coming back from such a serious knee injury that he can bounce back, I think that he could potentially be on notice to possibly be cut by the Denver Broncos. I hope that doesn't happen because I love Javonte and I want to see him bounce back and I want to see him get his NFL career back on track. But this move feels like the Broncos made got an insurance policy out and took an insurance policy out on Javonte Williams. I'm okay with any NFL team who already has an established running back to draft a running back in the fifth round because you need 2, 3, 4 competent running backs on your roster just to get by. With injuries, with other factors, you just need different explosive running backs, different power running backs. You need to have multiple different guys who can fill the same role on your roster. But I do feel like Audric Estime could overtake Javonte Williams for the Broncos starting running back job if he shows out in training camp. Ninth in college football in yards after contact with 892. Does that sound like someone we know? I think it does, man. And carries of 15 plus yards, 22. And Javonte Williams, actually, let me go ahead and look back at this stat here. Yeah, it was only 21 10 plus yard runs last year on 217 carries. That's a problem. So if Javonte Williams in his second year back from that multi-ligament knee injury does not bounce back, I think Audric Estime could pretty soon overtake him for that starting role. The data suggests that running backs coming off of multi-ligament knee injuries really do struggle in the return in that first season, but that second season is where they can kind of bounce back and sort of get back to their old selves a little bit, but that's not always a guarantee. There are some running backs out there that are just never the same after suffering these kinds of injuries. I really hope that's not the case for Javonte Williams, because before that injury, he was a very, very special player. All right, Broncos country, I am curious. How do you guys feel like Audric Estime fits into the Broncos running back room? And do you feel like Javonte Williams is on notice with this pick? Drop those comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts as always. Be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really, really appreciate it, guys. Those are two free and easy ways to show your support. Helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out and helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. And until next time, guys, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.